Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, because the world needs to know. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, because the world needs to know. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, because the world needs to know. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, because the world needs to know.
Greetings. Welcome to Say So, where we talk about it, whatever it is, because what you do not know can hurt you. So let's get to the root. For today's episode, we're going to continue in the same vein as it pertains to the topic and subject matter of jealousy. You know, I always seek to understand more than I seek to be understood. So I really wanted to dig a little deeper into the topic of jealousy to see where it comes from and to get some scripture backing on it and things of that nature. And I have some lists and some bullets of certain things as it pertains to jealousy, namely the emotion that's under jealousy. The 3 levels of jealousy. There's levels to this thing. And also the 7 signs that someone is secretly jealous of you. And the reason, or someone that you know and love. And the reason I wanted to dig deeper is because it's really important and critical in the time and the society that we live in for us to know those that labor among us, as the word of God says, for us to know if we are in bad company. If we are about to be set up or anything of that nature, if there's anything negative that may come out of the connections that we have with people that we feel know us and love us and care for us and things of that nature, just to ensure that you have an accurate assessment of the situation and those that are in your circle. See who is at your table and if they need to remain at your table, or if you need to remain at that table, or put your finger up like you do in church and exit stage left. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So one of the questions that was asked is jealousy a trauma? And I thought that to be a good question. Now, the answer that I found says that therapists regard the demon, they actually referred to, and this was not a Christian website or organization, but they regard the demon, so they regard jealousy as a demon, which I agree fully, wholeheartedly, but they regard the demon as a scar of childhood trauma or a symptom of a psychological problem. So there's an underlying problem or issue they're basically saying. And with the childhood trauma, that made me think that some individuals that grapple and struggle and wrestle with jealousy may not even be consciously doing so. It could be something that they saw. It could be a learned behavior. Maybe the women or men or individuals in your family, your caregivers, your guardian, or whomever struggled with jealousy or had jealous friends, or there was just a back and forth and a power struggle within the household or what have you. And because you saw that modeled, that kind of taught you what type of individual to be. And it also says that people who feel inadequate, insecure, and are overly dependent are have a greater level of jealousy, or are more jealous, I guess, than the typical jealous person. So that's regarding jealousy and trauma. Now, we're going to go into what are the characteristics of a jealous person. There are 6 of them. And the first one is they're friendly on the outside, yet bitter on the inside. So that just shows you, I learned in health class that your inside and your outside should match. It shouldn't be that you have on a mask and you are just the life of the party, and then when you go home, you cry yourself to sleep, or you're depressed, or things of that nature. Your inside and your outside should match. So when it doesn't, there's an issue. And the second characteristic of a jealous person is they only admire you in public. So it's almost like they're trying to save face, or they're trying to look like they're the best friend or your best lover or your best husband or your best child, or whatever, whomever the jealous person is. It could be a colleague. It could be a church member. Whomever they are, they only admire you in public, in front of people, right? but in private, there's no admiration. Now, the third characteristic of a jealous person is they're your copycats in disguise. And as I gave an example on the previous episode, they may not even be in disguise. It may be obvious. It may be blatant. It may be that after the individual begins being around you, they try to talk like you or walk like you or dress like you or use the same slang and things like that. They may get their hair like yours. They may try to do their makeup like yours, try to buy jewelry or, basically you're a copycat. Just try to be like you in several different ways. The fourth characteristic of a jealous person is they think they deserve to be in the other person's shoes. So this could go as far as someone having an adulterous affair with your husband or wife or your significant other simply because they feel like they would be a better fit with that individual than you are. And this happens. Now, we know of situations where best friends become the worst enemies because somebody sleep with somebody's husband. Then the husband might go so far as to marry the mistress and start a family or start another relationship and or marriage or household with that individual. Number 5 is they engage in stereotypes and gossip. And stereotypes is just overgeneralization. For example, all women with short hair are lesbians, or all women with long hair are stuck up. That's just a generalization, and that's not accurate, right? Gossip is like a rumor, something that has not been proven to be true. But girl, did you hear this? I bet you she did it, and she probably this, and she probably. None of these are facts, but this is the things that people that gossip tend to focus on and continue to regurgitate and talk about. Now, the sixth and last one is they scrutinize or condemn your intentions, right? So nothing you do is right. And they always tell you why you can't do something, why you shouldn't do something, why this doesn't make sense, why that's not going to work, that's going to fail, and things of that nature. And the next thing is, and the scriptural backing for these characteristics of jealousy, specifically the first one about being one way on the outside and another way on the inside. It said that they are friendly outside. So they're smiling in your face and all of that, but they're bitter inside, which means they're sour, and not the friendly face that they're giving to you or the mask, right? So Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 reads as follows. And once again, I have lots of notes. Here it is. So I'm going to read from the New Living Translation version of the Bible, and I'm going to read verses 15 through 20. And there's usually a subtitle or a title above each chapter that you read in the Bible. And this title is the tree and its fruit, right? So it says in verse 15, beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep, but are really vicious wolves. And that word disguise was in one of the 6, disguise as your copycat or your copycat in disguise. So they don't come as who they really are and what they really are. They disguise themselves so that you'll think that they fit in and they belong and things of that nature. Right? Now, it's talking about false prophets, but anything false is a counterfeit. It's not real. It's not the true or the truth. And that can also go towards friends. That can also go towards anything that is, like I said, a counterfeit. It's trying to pretend like it's friendly when it's really not. It's trying to pretend like it likes you, it loves you, and it wants to be around you and wants to be near you and things of that nature, when that's not the actual the motive or the motivation. That's not that most accurate motivation behind this individual. Now, verse 16 says, you can identify them by their fruit. That is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from thorn bushes? And if you could, there would be a whole bunch of bloody grapes, because they're talking about opposite things. Like roses have thorns, but grape bushes or grape vines or vineyards don't have thorns, right? Or figs from thistles. Once again, these two things do not match. So you can't. The answer to that is no. But then in verse 17, it says, a good tree produces good fruit. and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. Verse 19 says, so every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Verse 20, the final verse says, yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. And that's let's stick a pin right there because that's important. And of course, there's another scripture that talks about you'll know the tree by the fruit it bears. And just take an opportunity, like I said in the previous episode, examine your friendships. What sort of fruit are you seeing? Is the fruit rotten? Is it true? Is it genuine? Is it false? Is it accurate? Like sometimes as women, we kind of are nurturers and we wear we're emotional or can be, and we wear our heart on our sleeves. So sometimes you can find yourself believing every word that comes out of a person's mouth. If they say, oh, I'm not jealous, I'm this way, I'm a real friend, I'm a ride or die, I'm this, that, and the other. Yes, that's what your mouth says, but what does your actions say? Because a lot of times people will describe themselves as something like, I'm honest, and you know they lie a lot. You know what I'm saying? So they may not have an accurate perception of themselves. And it's important to know and to note that. So that's how you will know their fruit, by their actions. How do they act around you? And even when they're not around you. So as it pertains to the next listing, we're going to move down to the emotion under jealousy. Okay. And there are 1, 2, 3. There are 4 of them. So the first one, the first emotion under jealousy, and actually let's go ahead and get this out the way. Emotion is defined as something that is subconscious, which means you're not conscious of it, or conscious, which means you're aware of it, and you know about it. It says people spend years or even a lifetime not understanding the depths of their emotions. So we're going to dig into the 4 emotions that lie under jealousy. So if jealousy is the tree, then we're talking about the roots that that are the life support system of the tree, or what's underground that you cannot really see. The first emotion is anger, which is a strong feeling of annoyance, hostility, displeasure, or things of that nature, right? So these are not pleasant feelings. These are not pleasant things. Somebody that's hostile towards you, somebody that's annoyed by you, somebody that is displeased with you in everything you say or do, etc. And the term feeling is defined as, because I wanted to know, like, what's the difference between emotions and feelings? Because we're talking about the emotions under jealousy, and then it talks about anger being a strong feeling. So I wanted to know the difference. The difference is that feelings are conscious. So you're aware of how you feel in that very moment. So that's the difference. And once again, emotions can be subconscious, which you're not aware, or you are aware. So emotions can kind of hide and kind of be tricky to identify and pinpoint sometimes. The next emotion under jealousy is resentment. And this says bitter indignation. And indignation is just kind of like a quiet, simmering anger at having been treated unfairly. So that's not only is jealousy under there, is anger under there, but resentment is under jealousy. Inadequacy. And this is defined as an inability to deal with a situation or with life. So individuals who feel inadequate typically have poor coping skills. So they're not able to handle what life brings their way. They're not able to handle but so much stress. And it could be something really small, but it's big to them because they're ill-equipped on how to handle life's ups and downs and the things that just come along with life. Life is stressful, you know what I'm saying, from time to time. And they're not well able to handle the stress and the things that come along with everyday life too. The next one is helplessness or disgust. Now, it's defined as disgust, helpless, that means you need help and you feel like there's no one there to help you. You feel like you're in need of rescue and you're not being rescued. So you feel like you can't do anything about your current situation, right? Or that's the inability to defend oneself or act effectively on your behalf, or maybe on the behalf of someone else if you're watching or viewing something. Okay, so now as it pertains to disgust, is a feeling of revulsion or strong emotional state or reaction. So it's being repulsed. It's like if you see something that's disgusting, you're gonna turn your head away, or you don't want to look at it. You don't want to see it. It repulses you. It makes your face frown up like mine is doing right now, or whatever, what have you. And it's just something that you don't like. And sometimes underneath the mask, that's exactly what that individual's face is doing. But you see the mask where they're smiling and things of that nature. But you may say something or do something, or something happens, experience something where they are repulsed. And it could be something good, like an achievement or something. And they feel some type of way on the inside, yet they're on the outside, they're trying to cover it up and trying to not make it seem or feel obvious. So we're going to move on to let's ensure that I didn't have any scriptural. Okay, I didn't have scripture with that. Now we're going to move to the 3 levels of jealousy. Like I said, there's levels to this thing. So, the first level is emotional. And basically it's the experience of negative emotions directed at relationship threats. Okay, so if you feel like something or someone is a threat to your relationship, it could be somebody new coming in or whatever or what have you, but this is emotional jealousy. So it could be that they don't want you to share your emotions with someone else, which is why they don't want anyone else to come in. So they don't want you to almost cheat on them emotionally, because they feel like they want you to share all your emotions with them. They want you guys to have your time and be really tight and really close, and nothing or no one else should come in between that. There's the second level is cognitive jealousy. So that's the appraisal of relational threats or suspicions regarding fidelity. So basically, and a lot of this terminology was like basically significant others or in a marriage or something, but also in friendships, this happens as well. So appraisal means the value basically that you assign to your relationship, right? Or anything that you feel like threatens your relationship. And you're suspicious. The individual is suspicious that, oh, this person is getting too close, or so on and so forth, or they're taking up too much time with this person, or what have you. And regarding when it says fidelity, how faithful of a friend are you being to me? So if you're hanging with somebody else, or talking to somebody else, or doing things with someone else, then you're basically cheating on me, or you're not being a faithful friend to me. Cognitive has to do with your thoughts and your mind processes. So this could be reality or not reality. They could see you with someone that you don't even really know or what have you. And they feel like, oh, that's your best friend now. Oh, that's how it is. And they feel some type of way, right? Now, the third level of jealousy is behavioral. Now, this is protective actions that individuals engage in. For example, checking up on you and things of that nature, wanting to see what you're doing, wanting to see who you're talking to, where you're going, how long you're going to be there, and things of this nature. So there are behaviors that identify that, okay, this person is a little jealous, a little possessive, things that they're overly protective. Like, I'm grown. Like, it's not that serious. Now, with the scriptural backing for this comes from the Old Testament book of Proverbs, chapter 27. We're going to read verses 4 through 6, as well as 10 and 12. And the NLT, or New Living Translation, right? It says in verse 4 that anger is cruel and wrath is like a flood, but jealousy is even more dangerous. And I want you to allow that to sink into your mind, heart, spirit, body, and soul, because this is really like a warning. I feel like I feel like this episode should help you to examine your friendships and stop anything before it goes any further. Like, take a good hard look at those, like I said, that are at your table. Take a good hard look at those that you allow to be around you in your space and to share time and space with you on an intimate level. Because you could have some jealousy or a jealous individual that is around you that does not need to be. Now, the 6th verse reads as follows. Oh, well, actually, we'll do 5 too. 5 says, an open rebuke is better than hidden love. So rebuke is correction. So you would rather, when someone is really your friend, and the Bible also talks about a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity, not born from adversity, like all the hell we go through that makes us closer, born for adversity, because when you are going through an adverse situation or some opposition, you got your brother, you got your sister, you got your person that's in your corner, right? At all times. So rebuke is correction. It says open rebuke. So that's kind of in front of people, or, not just pulling you to the side or what have you, with a respectful, loving manner. But yes, saying, you were wrong or what have you. That's better than hidden love. Because realistically speaking, as parents or in general, if you love your child and you see them about to go into danger, about to touch a pot or go on the stove where the stove or the oven is on, or about to run into traffic, if you love something or someone, it's going to be known by your actions, by your emotions, by your cognitive, the way that you think about them and want them to be safe and things of that nature. So hidden love isn't really love, because love is an expression. You can tell. You can see somebody, you can see a couple walking down the street, and you can tell that they are, if and when they are genuinely in love. It's almost like it radiates off of them. You can just tell. By the same token, you can also tell when somebody is in a relationship with somebody that they don't really want to be around. They might be rolling their eyes. They might be, not even really acting like they're annoyed, like they're a little gnat. They don't even really want to talk to them. They don't want to engage and things of that nature. So we're going to move to verse 6. It says, wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. So basically, they're saying that there may be times where you are wounded or hurt by your friend. That may not be on purpose, like they're not coming for you on purpose, but there may be something that they have to share with you about your personality, or something that you've done, or something, a way that you feel, or something that you've expressed or shared with them that could hurt, but that they're a sincere friend. So although it hurts, that doesn't mean that our friendship has to end. That means that you care enough about me to tell me when and if I'm wrong. And like I said, however you do it, you make sure you do it in love. Now, it says it's better than many kisses from an enemy. And we know, like as in episode 92, where the Last Supper, we know, well, we didn't go over it, but Judas Iscariot, the one that betrayed Jesus, actually betrayed him with a kiss. So that's basically saying, you're my enemy, but you're coming in close contact into my personal space, doing things that would make me feel that we are intimately acquainted, or that you have my best interest at heart, when in actuality, you're an enemy. Now, verse 10 says, never abandon a friend, either yours or your father's. And verse 12 talks about, so that's basically, not abandoning your friend, especially in their time of need and when they need you the most. And verse 12 says, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton, or a simple person, or somebody just walking through life and not really focused or aware of their surroundings, of what's going on, goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. So it's imperative and important that you take this time to see, to purposely look deep into and examine your friendships. Who's at your table? Why? How long have they been there? What are they bringing to the table, if anything? And there should be something that they're bringing to the table, because if they're not bringing anything, then if they're not coming to give, then they're coming to get. That's the only other option. So we are going to move to I believe this is the final list. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything. Yes. So we're going to move to the 7 signs that someone is secretly jealous of you. Number 1, watch as well as pray. Okay, like I said in the previous episode, pray if there's any person that's not in my life with the right intention or motivation, God move them. God block it. Allow whatever you have to do to bust it up. That's what you do, because you would rather to lose that relationship than to lose your life or to be set up or something of that nature. Somebody to assassinate your character or try to assassinate your character and come for your reputation simply because they're secretly jealous of you and you don't know it, or you don't see it, or you give them the benefit of the doubt and you give them time and time and time and time again because you see the best in them, yet they're coming for your jugular. They're coming for you, for your life, and they're not playing. So the first one is to know when someone is secretly jealous of you. So even behind that mask, you may not know what's going on, but if you open up your eyes, like I said, watch as well as pray, and look for these signs, then you'll be more knowledgeable, right? Number 1, they compliment with an insult. So if you ask them, let's say you cook something for them or you cook something to ask them to try. Yeah, it's okay, but it's got too much salt. Like it's always a negative to it, not just, that was really good. That was delicious. I have to get that recipe from you sometime or whatever. You got to show me how to do that. No, it's okay. First of all, it's just okay. But and a lot of times when people are jealous of you, they won't give you your credit or your just due. It'll be like, yeah, it was all right. It was a little, whatever, what have you. It's never just a genuine expression of being proud of you or liking what you've done, or that, hey, you did a good job, and things of that nature. The second one is they gloat on your mistakes. For example, remember when you got fired? And I was looking at a video, and I think she's a doctor or a therapist. I think she's a therapist, something like that. She may be a doctor as well. But she talked about how she had a friend that was jealous of her, and a guy tried to pull up, tried to holler at her or whatever. And the friend came up to him and said, she used to be fat, right? And he was like, well, she looks good now. I mean, that's a compliment, even that much the more that, and that's a testament to her tenacity and her desire to do something. What she puts her mind to, she actually does it or whatever, or brings it to pass. But just something like that, always wanting to remember the bad, the negative things that have happened to you, for you, and with you in your life. Number 3, makes excuses to be away from you. And I personally feel it's because their mask is about to come off. It's because they're not able to contain how they really feel and they're about to blow. So they gotta go be away so they can make up their mask and, put everything back in its place and stuff. So when they come back, they look put together. But making excuses to be away, like they need a break, like you get on their nerves so much, like you're oil and water, you just don't mix. I can only tolerate this person for so long, or whatever, or what have you, right? So number 4, they gossip about you. And I talked about that in the other episode with the friendship triangle. And there's a saying, number 1, they're backstabbers, because they're talking behind your back, oftentimes. And they also, there's a saying that goes, a dog that'll take a bone will bring one too. That's talking about gossip. If they're gossiping to you about somebody else, guess what? They'll gossip to somebody else about you. That's revealing their character right there, that they don't keep confidence, and they want to tell you other people's business, and they want to have something to talk about or something to gossip about, rumors to spread, and things of that nature. Number 5, they tell you you're lucky. And as I gave the example in the previous episode, they may say something like, I'm jealous of the way that you, this, that, and the third, or I'm jealous of the fact that you don't understand what you have. Or I'm jealous of the fact that it seems like you don't even have to work hard. You got a good job. You have this, you have that. And they may name all of these things. And it's simply because they feel like they deserve them more than you, or they feel like you don't deserve them at all. But telling you're lucky. Okay, if I'm lucky, then does that make you unlucky? So what does that really mean? Number 6, they diminish your accomplishments. And one way of doing this is trying to one up you. So if you made AB honor roll, they make straight A's. If you've got a nice car, then they've got a more expensive car or whatever, what you have you. They just have to have, or if let's say you're talking about your children and you're proud of your son, like I said, for making honor roll. Well, their child made straight A's, or they just diminish your accomplishments or the things that you hold in high esteem or feel that are valuable, but specifically your accomplishments because they're jealous of you. And sometimes they could be jealous of your marriage. They could be jealous of your family. They could be jealous of your children. Like there are other things that come into play, but typically it begins with you. And number 7, they want to be around you. And a lot of times this is to just see where your life is going, to see if you're progressing and or digressing, to see how your marriage is going, how things are going with your children, how things are going with your career, how things are going within your family, and things of that nature. So they're around to get information, to see just how things are going, and secretly hoping that things are going bad. So you'll have something that you have to talk to them about, that you're sad, or something that's that went left, that you expected this to really come through but it didn't, and so on and so forth. So their motive and motivation for being around you is not noble, it's not honorable, it's not positive or productive. And the scriptural backing for that is Matthew chapter 12, verse 34. And it reads as follows. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And that's even trying to one up you or diminishing everything that you do, all of your accomplishments. That's trying to be your copycat. That's trying to, that's gossiping and things of that nature. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If they never have anything positive or productive to say about anybody else that's on the come up, if they always jealous or always feel like, I could do that better than her. I got this and I got that, and so on and so forth. It's always about them. They always insert themselves into the situation or the conversation or whatever or what have you, simply because they feel inferior, they're insecure, and they have low self-esteem. And I would like to admonish you to go back and watch I think it's a 3-part series on low self-esteem. And we also give ways to increase and boost your self-esteem as well. So that is definitely something that I admonish you to go back and see and watch. You may find yourself or someone in love in that. And most people who have low self-esteem typically don't see themselves accurately, and they may not even see that they have low self-esteem. But one of the indicators is if everything is taken from you, who are you? Can you or will you survive, or will you become suicidal because you don't have your hair done, your nails done, you don't have your makeup done, you don't have on the name brand clothes and the name brand shoes and sunglasses, and you don't have a pocket full of money and all of this stuff? Who are you? Who are you just sitting within yourself? Who are you without all of these other things? Because a lot of people use those things to feel better about themselves, or to say, oh, I'm straight. I got on a Gucci pocketbook, or I got Michael Kors. I got this and I got that. But who are you really? Because you're touting or wearing somebody else's name. But what about you? How do you feel about you at the end of the day? So that is pretty much the scriptural backing for that. And also in my research, they call jealousy the green-eyed monster. And did you know that you actually have an emoji that represents the jealous heart? If you have the option for a green heart on your phone or your computer or what have you in your emojis, that is called the jealous heart. And what is a jealous heart? A jealous heart is something or someone where they feel angry and bitter because they think another person is trying to take a lover, a friend, or a possession away from them. So very possessive, very controlling. You can find yourself in a situation where the person you're in a relationship with is manipulative and controlling. They have to be in control. They have to choose who comes and who goes. If not, then it's not a thing. They're not involved at all because they feel so inferior and so insecure. They feel like the only way that I will matter is if I'm in control, if I'm at the top and you're at the bottom or somewhere in the middle. So that is just important for you to note and to know. And also, there's a scripture in the New Testament book of James, chapter 3, verse 11, that says, "Out of the mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter?" And these individuals, because they have on a mask, they have to say some nice things, even if it's only in public, like the other example said. And yet, behind your back or with someone else that they feel comfortable of talking about you with, then they will the bitterness comes out. And also, I wanted to give an example because I don't want to paint the picture. Now, jealousy is not a good thing, but I don't want to paint the picture that only certain people are at risk of feeling or experiencing jealousy. I had an experience at church. I was at a church that was on the way to being a mega church, and there was a husband and wife. And they were, I was sitting in the balcony and we were in the church service, and they were just like holding hands, and they were so affectionate, and he was so supportive of her and she was supporting him back as well. And she was obviously had gone through something or whatever, and she was just praising the Lord, and he was just supporting her in that. And at the time they're sitting on the same pew as me a little further down. And I'm married, but sitting there by myself because at this point, I believe my ex-husband and I were attending different ministries. So for a moment, the enemy tried to sow a seed of jealousy. I'm like, man, it don't take all that, blase, blah, woo, woo, skippy. But then I came to myself, and you know what I did and what I said? I said, you know what? That I would love for that to be my husband and I. I would love for us to be able to support one another, be at the same place on one accord, and encouraging and cheering one another on. So you know what? I wrote not a letter, but I wrote her a little note, and I actually I humbled myself. I didn't know this woman. I didn't know her husband. I didn't even know they were married, but I found out this later, and we became friends and all of that. But I humbled myself, wrote her a little sentence or two, maybe three, saying that would she and her husband prayed that my husband and I would have the connection and the support and whatever I saw, with them or whatever that they have. And I gave it to her and tried to hurry up and get out the balcony and get to my car or what have you. And she looked at it, and she may have been sensing something. Holy Spirit she may have zeroed in on me as well. I don't know. But she ripped it open, read it really quickly, and then it was a line, so I couldn't get out. I had to wait or whatever in the processional. So she came to me, and I think she gave me a hug, and she asked me my name. And ironically, both of our names were Letitia. And I'm like, wow, it's a small world or what have you. And she said that, that she and her husband would be praying for us and all of that stuff. We exchanged numbers and we talked back and forth, and we still attended the same ministry for some time. But just that's an example. It's not that if you experience jealousy or try to experience jealousy or it comes upon you that you're a bad person. It's what you do with it. If you feed into it, if you talk about it, if you nurse it, if you rehearse it, if you allow it to continue to grow and to develop, that's the issue. But the enemy is going to try and attempt to plant a seed of jealousy in your heart or in your mind or, in you, or try to tempt you with that thing. But it's what you do with it. Because once again, like I said in the other episode, you're hating on a person that would likely tell you the secret, would likely tell you the ins and outs of how I got to where I am or how I'm doing what I'm doing. And the fact of what you see is only half of it. You don't know the half of the story. Let me tell you what I had to go through behind the scenes and things of that nature. And a lot of times we want the promise, but we don't want the process. You don't know the cost of the oil in that person's alabaster box. You don't know the process they've been in for years, but you see their glory, but you don't know the whole story. But you think you have a right to be jealous of somebody where if you could switch places with them and go through the process like they did, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it. So, and the word of God talks about how God sees what's done in secret and he rewards us openly. Just because what you see is what you see, that's only half of it. That's not even the majority of it. You're seeing someone being rewarded for years, decades of of faithfulness, of sticking with it, of struggle, of opposition, of things coming against you and prevailing. And sometimes you don't prevail, of being tempted. Sometimes you fall and sometimes you stand. And just that whole entire process. So it's important to understand, to know, and to note that there's no reason for any of us to be jealous. There's no reason for us to compare ourselves to anyone because you're an original. There's nobody like you. There's nobody with your fingerprints. There's nobody that looks identical to you. Even identical twins, you can tell them apart, whether one has a mole somewhere else where the other one doesn't, whether one has a deep voice and a high voice, whether one's nose is wide and the other one isn't, whether one is a shade lighter or darker. There's always a way. You are an original. And the moment you know, note, understand, and embrace that, you're well on the way of not being jealous of nothing or nobody for any reason. Because when you stay in your lane, that's where you're most productive. But you're trying to veer over and get in somebody else's lane, then that's how you cause an accident, a head-on collision or whatever, you sideswipe somebody. So I think that's all that I have, but I just want you to know that there is no reason whatsoever to ever be jealous of anybody, because you have something they don't have, and they may have something that you don't have. And it's okay, because they need what you have and you need what they have. Yet you can't allow jealousy to be divisive thing, or something that divides you, because that person that you hate or are jealous of or envious or bitter or have strife, unforgiveness, all of these negative things, that's probably the person that's holding your miracle. That might be the person that you need to mentor you. That might be the person that you need to be closest to. But the enemy is sowing seed of jealousy to keep you guys apart when you need to come together, because you will be a force to be reckoned with when and if you ever come together. So that's all I have. Until next time, miracles and blessings to you today and every day. Know that God and only God has the final say so about where you are now, where you have been, and where you are going. You are simply in the process of becoming who and what God created, ordained, purposed, and designed and destined you to be for His glory. Until next time, miracles and blessings today and every day.